through our stack here, if you could see, we nurture the entrepreneurial abilities through, taking on the acumen, nurturing like product solution fit, product market fit, and the governance part, and on the business model part. And then we do have mentorship, dedicated mentorship, and then we provide with startup toolkits. We do have a robust partnership stack that enables us for cross pollination across industries, knowledge sharing, and resource sharing as well. We do have a very strong funding network through different sources of funding, be it venture capital, debt financing, government grants, impact investors, and then revenue-based funding as well. We have a very strong alumni network, both from IIM Bangalore and then citywide entrepreneurs across, more than 4,500 plus founders from different sectors again. This webinar right now is part of the initiative of Velocity Kotak BizLabs, which is a CSR initiative of Kotak Mahindra Bank, which the idea is simple: to support all the entrepreneurs across India through mentorship, resources, guidance, to propel their growth further, be part of the growth journey, support potential startups as part of it. As part of the program at NSRCEL, this program uh, enables business acumen nurturing in terms of product market strategy, sector specific mentoring, and access to grants to potential startups up to 30 lakhs as part of this program. We do have demo days that happen across, for example, in the last demo day we had around 30 startups getting more than 90 plus engagement calls with the venture capitalists. We do have very strong access to NSRCEL startup toolkit, which enables with some of the tools that will be helpful in the venture building for the entrepreneurs. We work across different sectors, right from Industry 5.0, Gen AI, Deep Tech, healthcare, and then sector agnostic as well. Some of the notable startups you must be knowing here is Epiphany, Prodloop, P Commerce, and then we do have Amagi, which is one of the unicorns that we have at NSRCEL, which have been incubated at NSRCEL. We could be able to support them through this initiative. We have corporate innovation partners as well through this program, right from Volkswagen to ABB to HDFC, and then Maruti Suzuki and Lowe's Innovation as well. On a similar note, we have the applications open for this program right now. Interested folks can scan this QR code and then get applied to this program as well. Now we go forward with the panel discussion. Over to Vamshi Bharadwaj and Raghu Venkatesh to introduce themselves and their on and their venture, what they do, and how they have been building their venture right now. Thank you.
So yeah, I think I'll start with myself. So hi, this is Vamshi. So I'm founder CEO of Yanindriya. I basically come from a background of electronics and communication. So I did my bachelor's in 2021, and then from Ramaya, Bangalore. Then I worked in automotive for a while. When we started Yanendriya, we started it as basically to bridge the gap between the horizontal of sensors and navigation for autonomous vehicles, and that's how we actually started with that idea. And we started with inertial measurement unit systems to begin, and then we expanded ourselves towards position systems and things. So yeah, that's Yanendriya is what the company is, and it is basically right now catering to the unmanned vehicle systems in domains of aerial as well as the ground as well as the surface vehicle systems. So yeah, that's about Yanendriya.
Over to Raghu.
Hi everyone, good evening and thank you for having me here. My name is Raghu, I'm the co-founder and chief business officer at NSRCEL Robotics. We build autonomous mobile robots to help companies, especially in manufacturing and warehouses, to automate their internal logistics. And we've been doing this for the last 5 years, and we solve problems not only in India, but today we solve problems across the world.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your introductions and what you are building right now. I think that is very interesting space that you are in right now. I'd like to now invite Mr. Mohan Sundaram to moderate this panel further and take the discussion further. Over to you, Mohan. Mohan, I think you're on mute.
Okay. So, hi, Vishal. Sorry, Vamshi and 1 second, let me just, Raghu. So first, let's start. I'll give a common question, and both of you can give your own viewpoints in that. So, Raghu, when did you graduate from college?
It was more than a decade ago, in 2011.
Okay, and you also worked somewhere before you started the venture.
Yes, I spent first 2 years of my journey as a researcher. Then I tried building a service-based company. Then I had a talent acquired, and then built a product company. And I failed, and that's where I learned without a mentor, nothing works. And when we built our second venture, uh, we took a route of having mentors, incubators, and that's where it got us to where we are.
Okay. So coming back, uh, no, a good venture starts with a identification of a good problem, right? So can you throw some light on how you identified the problem and validated the size of the problem or the need and the global nature of the problem as it were?
Okay, so when we started out Answer Robotics, the use case what today we are helping customers was not the first use case. It was the fourth pivot we had to do it. We started as a UV disinfection company where we were building robots with UV disinfection module, which was an alternative to disinfect classrooms, uh, office buildings without chemicals. And by the time we could build that, COVID was over, so nobody wanted the product. So the first thing we learned in our first pivot was timing is very important. And the second thing we thought would be delivery robots, and we could not build that as per a robot which could work in Indian conditions and roads. Then we learned that team is very important. And the third thing is, when we tried to build agricultural robots, and we couldn't do proper customer sizing and understand what would be the growth uh, of that use case. It was a robot which could do harvest picking, and we built the product. And there we could not scale it. It was very hard to convince a software engineer to work in a field without AC, without chairs, on a soil with his laptop and trying to fix bugs. And and that's one part, and also the business. And when we had our fourth pivot, we what we learned was, we need to identify a problem that not only solves a small set of people, but it can have a larger impact. Like, for example, if somebody invented a pencil, they did not invent a pencil for students, they invented pencil for anyone who wanted to communicate, and the subcategory was students. So same thing we understood was, India was becoming a big manufacturing hub. Like India, like 5 years back, like 5 years back, there was a shift where we were moving from a service economy to a producer economy, and it was happening very fast. And we realized if this is going to happen, we need to have the best tools what everyone uses around the world. And that's how we were able to size the market and understand there is a potential, and it was the right time. There were so many robotic companies so far, but what made us to grow faster was being on the right time, and we had the right skill set to build it, and the team.
Vamshi?
Yes, so mine is a different story. So basically, I mean, we did try to start during the college days. Quite few ideas, quite few vague ideas, but I think that did not work out right. So after that, when I was actually working, I worked with a firm based out of Germany, and I had good interactions with them, and I also was there. So then, when I came back and I was trying to figure out how things are, so there's always a blockage in terms of the fundamental sciences and the, you know, final applications that are there. So there is this applied sensors that is always overlooked. So when we looked at it, applied sensors for a factor, and then uh, I decided, okay, something we have to do in the applied sensors. And there was an opportunity to build something as a project with Indian Institute of Science at that time called Inertial Measurement Unit, which actually fit in the vertical as a horizontal of sensor. So when you look at sensor as an entire horizontal, it has multiple applications. So we started with that. So when we started with that and we started figuring out, key, okay, we are building IMUs, but where does it fit in? It's a horizontal. It fits in gaming, it fits in automotive, it fits in autonomy, and all these things. How do you figure out where do I need to focus and which is a bit a bigger problem to solve so that there is scale and there is visibility and things like that. So then robotics, when you look at robotics as a thing, we just figured out that entirety of robotics, if you want to commoditize the aspect of how Bosch does it for automotive, Continental does it for automotive, something that can be built for autonomy as a dedicated stack that can go into any platform as a sensor. I mean, we call it perception, navigation, and control. So if you look at these three stacks unified into one, it has sensors, it has a controller, it has compute module. So that's how that entire problem statement, visualized for us. And yeah, I mean, we are fairly a new company. Like we started out as a project in 2023, but I mean, officially formulated into company in Feb 2025. But yeah, it has been quite a journey where from first customer to the last customer, we are able to cater to them rightfully. So yeah, that's has been the journey.
Okay, so I think it's very important from what you are all saying, and it has also been my own personal experience, is that unless you have a very crisp and a well-defined problem statement, which you can size, you should not get into this business.
Absolutely.
Okay, and sizing the problem is a big aspect of it. You cannot just say, I see this problem, I'll go build for this. And like what Raghu said, you build it and then you find that the market is very small. Then you wasted your time and energy in trying to build something which is very small. You always build for a big market, and even if you're moderately successful, you will be big. So the chances of success are much higher if you're able to choose the right problem, have the correct timing, like what Raghu said, and have the proper sizing of the market, right? In this connection, I would say, when you did the sizing, were you able to sort of size the Indian market separately and the global market? And what was it that you saw? And did you have to change your problem statement or some kind of alignment to be more globally relevant?
Yes, I mean, we did have to do a lot of changes internally with respect to the tech stack itself. Because when you look at what we were trying to build as a sensor stack, it was very generic in statement, like it's very generic for people. But where do we position ourselves and where the scale and market lies? In Indian context, you need to have certain segment of products that is at a specific cost and specific quality. When you go to global, there is specific cost and quality that they are able to capture. So that is where we actually did segmentation of products into multiple levels. And then we said, look, this is where we are able to cater to people who need high precision, highest precision. This is where we are able to cater to people who need cost and efficiency benefits. So yeah, that's how we did it. And we are doing it right now and trying to do it. We'll be trying to do it further as well.
Yeah, Raghu?
So in our use case, it was a bit different. So everybody was building something for India and something else for the world. We realized that we would be a company where we would sell the same product for India and the world, and it would meet global standard. And we would, because we could innovate and build the solution in India, we can also make it very economical for Indian market, and that's the approach we took. Like, we didn't want to have an Indian quality and the global quality. We wanted to build a product that is the same we would sell for Indian customer and a global customer, because we wanted Indian customers to experience that.
Okay, that's nice. So also what I have seen is both these approaches exist, and in different product categories, they are relevant. Okay, so I don't see saying there's only one right way of approaching this. I've seen both these methods being used and both of them being successful. And in fact, in the method that Vamshi is following, we call it market discounting, meaning You discount for a market which can scale fast at lower prices, and then you sell at higher prices elsewhere to make up for the profits and so on and so forth. So people take both routes depending on the industry they are in, right? So if, for example, we're saying we're going for the automotive industry, most automotive industry products are all imported from abroad. So there it makes sense for us to look at a single standard across. Okay, that's nice. Now, when you obviously you're in a market that is R&D intensive and is also entails a lot of manufacturing, right? So when you started your own ventures, what was your strategy in terms of saying that, hey, when I get to manufacture, also, hey, and I'm doing R&D, do I do all the R&D myself? Do I get something done from outside? Or what do we do? So, for example, in one of the startups that I did, we outsourced R&D for a while till we said till we are able to pick up strength and take that load, then we will move that in-house for faster takeoff. Now, did you have to do something like that for R&D, or did you do everything from scratch yourself? Do you think if you had taken the other approach, you would have had a faster takeoff, albeit lower control, so to say? And would it have been different? And the same question goes for manufacturing. Did you think that you should invest in manufacturing yourself, or should you partner for manufacturing for better efficiencies of capital usage and also scale up in terms of timeframes?
Yeah, I think from my this thing yesterday. I mean, we were speaking, Raghu and me, when we were speaking, we had similar discussion. So what route we took is, because ours is a very core subsystem, we couldn't outsource the R&D, so we have to do everything ourselves. And we did take a good amount of time, and fortunately we had Art Park and such incubators supporting us for a good amount of time, where we were able to scale slowly but at a good pace to reach a point where that's a product. As you rightly said, there are multiple TRL levels. So when you start at ideation at TRL 1, you have to reach to the customer, that is TRL 9. It's a very long process in order to test, validate, and then pre-process, again process and things. And there's a lot of R&D aspect goes onto it. So what we did is we in-house built the team around ourselves, and we did most, every part of R&D ourselves. So what we tell to ourselves is we own the algorithm and we own the hardware. And that's not the same case with manufacturing. So we did not want to go ahead with manufacturing ourselves. So we partnered with entities across India. So we have partners in Ahmedabad, Noida, we have partners in Bangalore, we have partners in Coimbatore. So we partnered with these people to streamline manufacturing so that we can scale together and we can scale a bit more better. So that's the approach that we took.
Raghu?
So our approach, we started doing everything in-house, and technically what we do is called something called mechatronics. It has hardware, electrical, mechanical, software, communications, everything embedded in one. So we started as an doing everything in-house, including manufacturing. And when we had like some success, one of the things which really caught us to us is that, okay, how do I give a product like lifecycle support for everything for the next 10-15 years? And it would require large teams. So then again, we had to reinvent ourselves, where we took a top to bottom approach, where we told we will not go make every subsystem. We would work with companies like Vamshi and others who have already built and are there in a market for a very long time. And that is one of our USPs today. So we tell our customer that every component in our robot is proven in market for more than 25 years. And each critical components as a product life cycle support from the manufacturer for more than 10 years. So even if you use this robot for very good condition for 10 years, I have a replacement part. And that replacement part is not only available in India, it's available in 80 plus countries globally, locally. The other reason we took this shift was there was also compliance. So in India, compliance is not paid very attention to it. But when we had our customers who had moved from Europe and set up a shop in India, they were following all safety standards and compliances, which was a shocker to us. And I think today, even if you talk to many robotic engineers, they're really not aware of. Uh, there are a lot of compliances on how you build a robot, and they started asking us for all the compliances in all our like PCBs, electrical designs, mechanical designs, whether they've gone through all this tests and someone has certified it. And as a startup, it was impossible to tackle this problem. So our top to bottom approach really worked, where instead of building everything ourselves, we work with a partner ecosystem where they specialize building the subsystems and they have all the certification required to talk to address the customer need. And also, I don't need to worry on every part of R&D. This made our company single focus on what is Answers IP. It's the navigation stack, the autonomy, the localization algorithms, and how we do power distribution. How do we ensure in every Wi-Fi condition our robots work. We started working on core IP, which could work with the systems and orchestrate everything seamlessly. And this this approach really helped us, and now we've entered the growth phase of our journey where we would start making robots in hundreds of volume. And now we are taking slowly each subsystem and trying to build it in-house uh, to in-house for scale. So that's how approach we took.
Yeah. Sri Chandra, you had something?
Yeah. Participants, before we go ahead, I think if you have some questions, you can put it in the Q&A section. We'll be curating it and taking it over at the end while we answer the Q&A session. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So an allied question I had for both of you is that the kind of products you're in, your pricing is supposed to be relatively stable because you're dealing with B2B customers or in production. You're going as a component to a final product. They need some kind of stability in pricing for them to be to a deterministic costing themselves for a longer period of time, right? So when you did all your, now that both of you are in revenues and you did some product costing and did whatever, how did you manage to look at product costing across scale? And what sort of help did you get in trying to do product costing as you scale?
So I think, I mean, for me, it was completely multiple mistakes made me realize what it is. So I think when we started, we started out with the plan that we have a competitor and there is a benchmark pricing, and then look, this is, I mean, if you discount it by 10%, 15%, people are gonna buy it. That was a simple logic in my mind, and that's how we just figured out and started things. But then once the reality hit that no, that is not how you really price, because there was margins, there were things, there were distribution margins, there were other aspects coming into the play. So we did background, then we took help of some of the people that we know in terms of financing terms, and then we took some business help in terms of getting a proper structured pricing model done for each and every of our product. And now we have a standardized product. The pricing is now value based and never the just product based. So for us, because we go into multiple verticals as a horizontal that we build, uh, based on the customization, based on the effort factor that is being put on road, the same hardware and the same the algorithm changes, the software inside it, the firmware inside it changes. So based on that, the value addition that is there, the pricing differs, and that's how we figured out that for multiple markets catering multiple products with the similar architecture, we would be able to scale better and then get pricing better and margins better for ourselves. So that's how we took, and it was a iterative process. We are
So a mild. So you're talking about the pricing effort that you did.
yes.
I'm also asking on the costing side.
For
How did
the
you project production cost over time and over scale?
So we have a budgetary plan for a specific product. So that's how we do it. So there is intensive R&D that happens initially with respect to any hardware project. It's not a simple thing. I think Raghu might agree as well. So and it always overshoots. It never undershoots. It's not like you're conservative and putting, but it always overshoots over a period of time. But we took one at a time approach because the funding and everything was crunchy. So we took one at a time, and all efforts were put on to getting that product to a level where this is first, what do you say, POC kind of proof of concept kind of level. And now we also took help from customers in actually bringing in the customers and telling that, look, this is the proof of concept that we have, and we would like to would you like to take this proof of concept and test it out? So, and that test refinement actually accelerates my journey in terms of getting to the product right, and that saves me a cost of my own testing. So that's also iterative. There is an approach Elon Musk takes, that you fail fast so that you prototype fast and you fail fast,
Right.
and then you get the learning. But our problem is the prototyping cost of multiple failures actually are incremental. So what we took is a conservative plus multiple prototypes. So we have three versions that we take. We budget for three versions: version 1, version 2, version 3. Version 1 stays with us, version 2 goes to the customer, version 3 is the product version. And in each version it is budgeted, so it's like proper pricing. With distributor we speak, with manufacturer we speak, saying that this is the scale that this product is going to go to, so they are going to give us some concession in terms of manufacturing. So yeah, that's the approach that we take.
Yeah. Raghu?
Yeah, so our first approach was to get revenue. So we went to a customer and we played the price game, saying I'll give you the product at the best price that market can offer. And after some time, we realized there's always somebody else who'll come and do the same thing to you, who'll tell I can give better price and answer. And this we understood at scale, it will become a threat to us. We should never sell a product at a price game. As Vamshi was telling, it has to be a value driven. Like people have to buy your product for what is the unique value proposition you have, not for price. And it took some time, and now we have shifted where we only sell to customers who value this USP what they get. And that's how we have done pricing. And also there is one more thing, is that there's something called customer segmentation. So majority of my customers are from discrete manufacturing. To give you an example, like Tata can buy these robots, but a supplier of Tata cannot have the money, the capacity to buy like Tata. But they'll be also ambitious to have these kind of automation in their facilities. So we understood that you need to segment your customers, and you might have to again discount them. Like the same features what you offer to Tata, you might also have to offer to other segment of customer, is because they cannot pay you beyond a certain price. So this is one thing we've done, is customer segmentation. Uh, and coming to the cost, uh, I am in an industry where one bad incident can just uh, make me famous overnight. But even if I do 100 good things, it will not even reach to the next road. But one wrong incident with my robot, it would make us famous everywhere. Like everyone would tell how answer failed. And so for us, when we started out selling to customers, uh, our objective was give the best hardware and later slowly optimize it. So we didn't want to make money from everything on the first go. So when I say money, we also have margins in hardware, we have margins in solutioning, margins in the software which runs the robots. So we streamlined it very well. Initially, we only made money on the software. Now we make money on the hardware, and the next goal is to make money on the solutioning which we give to customers.
Okay. So a follow-on question to that, and which is what both of you have said, and I agree that value-based pricing is what will give you longevity in the market, right? But in your markets, in the deep tech market, as it were, establishing value or putting a number to the value is difficult, right? So how did you quantify the value based on which you could price, or how could you convince a customer saying, hey, this is the value, the benefit that you're getting, and so you could possibly pay so much for this, you will get a 2x return or value enhancement on what you'll pay me, or a 3x return, and which sort of will help you price the product, right? So how were you able to build that value story and quantification?
Yeah, I think you rightly mentioned, how do you quantify the value? That word is actually very resonating. When you look at any, let's consider a drone. Let's consider a drone as a thing, right? Or let's consider, because I make subcomponents, I cannot take that value into things. But if you consider any robotic subsystem, right, any robotic systems like drones, you quantify it as at least in terms of manpower and with respect to the time that it saves you. So, and then that is the unit economics that you're going to pitch it to the customer, saying that this is the amount of efficiency that it's going to be increasing. And it's going to be a back calculation. That means you're going to have some amount of information that, okay, X amount of days with X amount of work with X amount of people is going to yield you this much amount of results. And it will be saving you this much amount of cost. The other way is there is new markets that are there which are not actually aiding directly in terms of customers, let's say the humans and things like that, but it's aiding in terms of optimization. For example, there is one product of us that says that, okay, there is a downtime for the machine because there is a wire entanglement, and our product might reduce that downtime completely. So if there is a machine downtime for 2 days, you're gonna lose around, let's say X crores or X lakhs. You're gonna actually put that value proposition saying that, look, this is the time loss and this is the cost loss for it, and we are gonna this product is gonna bridge that gap in terms of getting that covered that cost, and it's gonna be helpful to it. So that's how I look at it.
Raghu?
Yeah, so I would like to give some background before I answer this question. So when people look at robots, usually their first initial thing is that, okay, I have a process where I have like 10 people working. If I have 10 robots, can it just uh, give me the desired result? And we tell people that's a wrong way of looking at getting robots to your facility. It has to be beyond meeting your throughput. It has to create efficiency. It has to create productivity. And the way we do it is there's a concept called just in time, where Toyota is one of the companies which have achieved this at a very large scale, where their warehouses will have less inventory maybe for 1 day of manufacturing, or sometimes even less than 10 hours. Like the component comes from a supplier to their facility maybe 2 hours before to just get in the production line. And when you do this, the cost of producing an investment you require to produce anything is very less, and you can do it at very scale. And every manufacturing company has a dream that I have to do just in time. And what happens inside a factory floor is when people need material, what they do is they will just call their supervisor, or they will just scream at a material handling operator and say, hey, can you bring me this raw material? Can you go to the store? A company which has a process streamline, he has to call a supervisor. Supervisor sends an email to the store saying, please send this material. And again, that has to be fed into an ERP system, which takes between half an hour to 2 hours to just get your material, which might be 50 meters away from you. This process and which requires a lot of human intervention and approvals. So what we have done, we have automated this whole track and trace with each stakeholders, and they can just approve with a click. And the person who requires material, we have built an app like how you use Ola or Uber. Maybe if you had used apps before 2000, if you had booked taxis before 2015, you had to call someone and you have to tell them this is where you are. It would take time to explain where you are, where you have to go, and they have to again find a driver for you, then call you back, tell you the time they will come, pick you up. There were so many through and forth, and you could only do advanced scheduling. It was never like I could just call someone and book and the cab is there in the next half an hour. It was all pre-scheduled, maybe a day or in the same day. Even in manufacturing, the whole material movement happens like that. So we have built a software stack. We enable something called flexible material movement, where on demand you can call anything you want on your factory floor and not worry how it happens behind the scene. And when we show this use case to our customer, that this is what Answer solves. The product might look same as any other robotic company. The differentiated factor is how this software integrates with your material movement. And we tell them that by using the system, you don't need to keep excess raw material on your factory floor. Like people can just call item and the robot would bring. And we use a lot of data to understand this understand how their factories work, and our fleet manager system refines this over a course of time. After 2-3 months, we have facilities which used to have up to 30% of excess raw material on their production floors. We have reduced this to less than 5%. And those customers saw ROI in India less than 18 months. And this was some insight which we discovered. So it was not only the robots, but how you integrate with all the systems in the factory and ensure the material reaches at the right time and the quickest way. And this is the value proposition which we create. And when we go to a new customer, we tell, I can make you achieve this. I can take you to a whole new way of doing material movement which was never thought before. It is only, you might have, your top management has spoken saying this is where we want to go. Every company has a goal, but it does not happen. And we take them. And this is what makes them to buy our product.
Nice. So actually what both of you have described is nice. While all of us talk about value-based pricing and that's how it should be and all that, it also gives rise to another kind of a problem. The kind of value that can be derived out of the solution is different for different customers, while the product must have consistent pricing, right? So how do you work with that dichotomy, right? Like what you said, Raghu, one particular company you'll be reducing from 30% to 5% or 18% to 5%. Another company that's already very efficient will come down from 10% to 5%. So the value they will see is lesser. It does not mean that you can price the robo lesser for them than for somebody else, right? So it is not that I have an answer for what I'm asking, but this is generally also the issue that people face, that how do you arrive at a consistent pricing when you do value-based pricing?
It's a great question, sir. So, yeah, for at least for what we do, you have a band of first you get a band of pricing that is possible with the value, and we always want to quantify generically and not very specific to the company. At least that's what we do, so that there is a band, and we always remain in that band with the discount and things like that. So there is that's what we do. Given that any kind of value is not being added rightfully, we discount it and say this is in the specific band. So it's the band is 5 to 10% kind of a thing. So that band is getting that band is difficult for products, but it depends on product to product. Few products it is easier to get, saying that okay, this is the band that people are ready to pay to compensate for the efforts that are going out there. Few products we are still figuring out how to get the band as well. So yeah, that's on that one.
It'll also change with the industry. For example, if you
Yes,
go to anything to defense, the value is much higher, but the same product in consumer applications will be far lower, but the product does not change.
true. And I mean, if we do customer segmentation right, let's
Yeah.
say 20%,
Or you'll have
30%
to
and things.
probably you'll have to brand it differently or keep a
Yeah,
couple of features different so that there's a differentiation in the product.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, this is, I think, is the biggest challenge for all deep tech companies. Is because when you have a deep tech company, you have to prove yourself in market. Like any deep tech, it can be anything in deep tech. It takes a lot of time to build a product. It's not like SaaS companies. In 5 months, I have a POC, paid pilots in 1 year, and then I'm off to market. It's already proven. Like I have 5 customers in SaaS, it's already proven. But in deep tech company, it does not happen like that. It takes a lot of gestation time to reach there, and you price it where a common pricing for all of them. So we are still in that journey to figure it out. And I have spoken to even other founders. All of them have this problem, is because uh, like today the world is moving so fast that deep tech companies are just seen as any other normal company from a customer perspective. So it takes time. So in my industry, that it takes 7 years to at least people to take you seriously. When you go tell them this is the product, they're like, okay, fine, you're running for 7 years, I will trust you. Like 3 years, 4 years back, when we were pitching to customers, the first question they would say is that you're a startup which is just 2 years old, and you're telling me that I have to take a bet, risking giving the most crucial part of my organization is bringing my raw material for manufacturing uh, an engine, and or it can be building a car, and I don't know after 2 years whether you'll exist or not. What do I do after 2 years if you don't exist? So these are the questions which comes until you are proven in the market. You cannot have that price, like you cannot be at the other side saying dictate the price. So you have to win customers, and it keeps changing. So I think only when you establish is when you can have a standard pricing.
I agree. Okay. So I'll come to the next issue that, or next problem that deep tech companies have to uh, face or define. When you start as a startup, you typically start with one problem, one product. But you cannot survive as a single product company. You must have a product range. And you must conceive the product range ahead of time so that you're able to say with minor variants, what are the kind of products that I can build? And you must build a roadmap for products. And in the roadmap, each product may have a different market also. How did you go about doing that?
Yeah, I think first we started with, as previously mentioned, it was just IMU, and we wanted to start making inertial measurement unit based systems in India. So that was used in all the robotics, perception, and these kind of things, right? So proprioception to all these aspects. So I think over a period of time, when we started getting customers through this, we are in the mid layer where there is people like Answer Raghu who are actually making robots. There are people who are actually making some chips as well, microchips, and we are in the mid layer where we are able to extract the information from the microcontrollers and the sensors and provide inferences for navigation and subsystems and provide it to who are making the robots itself. So this is where we were. So when we figured out the exact market, exact segment that we are in, so we had to create an ecosystem of products so that people would take it as it's like Apple only. Like you have a phone, you have earphone coming in. So you have an IMU, you have to have a position system like GNSS. You have to have some control system that is related to that. So people ask, it's actually market gives you that kind of clarity that what are they expecting from you. If they're expecting, at least for us, that is how we were treated. People asked us with multiple around 10 to 15 customers having served and around 60 customers that we are continuously speaking to. So people talk to us continuously saying that this is what we are looking at going forward. So we figured out with all these averages and the market requirements, we have our roadmap of becoming that player who is platform agnostic and who is in the segment that caters to all people. So there is products built around that kind of energies or synergies. So yeah.
Okay, so you have a central product that will drive the traffic, and you have ads
Yes,
on that will complete the subsystems
absolutely.
or enable you become a single source for that layer for those customers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So everything is built around it and to aid that
Okay.
system.
Raghu?
Uh, so in our product roadmap, so we had two choices. One, you be an expert knowing everything about the industry. Engineers who know how to solve problems, but we were not from the industry. And the other thing is that listen to your customers. So we took the second approach, asking how does the customer journey start with automation, especially our product line. So we understood everybody starts with a small POC project, and then they would scale it in their plant, and then they would scale across their plants. And when we looked at this, one of the things we understood is that in every facility there are different type of material movement happen. One is called an inbound, where your trucks come and the raw material is unloaded from the trucks, and then the unloaded material gets organized and they go to your warehouse, like a staging area. And then these are raw materials in big pallets. So the big pallets will not go inside your manufacturing facilities. You create something called a kitting trolleys, where you have all the like it's like a kit. If you want to build something, you get a kit, right? So in factories also, when somebody wants to, let's take manufacture a phone, they'll have something called a kitting trolley, where it can be in different forms, not only a trolley. It can be even in a bin or something, where they'll have all the components, and that components will come to the machine operator, where he assembles the parts and it goes to the next stage. So our initial idea was to just automate bringing those parts from the warehouse to the machine operator. Then as we were progressing, our customers started asking, why can't you help me also move material from the time I unload the truck to my warehouse and the whole thing? And then we created a roadmap saying that, okay, created a roadmap saying that we should be a one-stop solution for anyone who wants to do brownfield projects. So today we call like supermarket of robots, and also we engineered a product where today I have 6 product lines, and in that six, more than 80% of all the 6 robots have same hardware and software stack. It's only a 20% flavor which changes, and instead of calling it models, we have called it series, where it helps customer to see it as a differentiator factor of a different product. But they're all the same product. They're just relabeled in a different way for a different customer segment to understand.
Okay, so nice. So I think you sort of validated what we also try and ask ventures to do, which is you should always listen to the market before you do anything. And that validation is needed, that what you're doing is appropriate and there's a market that wants to look at it. Instead of sitting in one room and you're hypothesizing and synthesizing something that may or may not be required in the real world, right? And same goes for the problem statement also. You cannot sit down and think of a problem statement. You must talk to 100 customers and figure out what is the biggest problem statement that they have and try and solve for that. And I think it's very consistent in terms of listening to the customer to build that side of the venture. Let us shift gears now to another part of the venture. We looked at market facing.
Sir, I would like to add one point to that, as we have audience, is
Yeah.
that you don't need to wait till you build your product to go talk to your customers.
Yeah.
We did one thing is, before we had product, we went to customer and we showed our mock-ups and told, this is the product, do you want to buy it? And one of the as an entrepreneur, what I saw, one of the coolest thing in India was we get free advice from Indians. Anytime you go give them something, they will go out of their way to tell you why this will not work.
Yeah. No, so that is also true. I mean, I was in an industry where it took us 3 years to build a product, but right from day one, we were talking to customers. Only thing you have to be a little careful that you talk to customers who will not let out what you're trying to do to somebody else. So you have to be careful in terms of picking up people with whom you can talk to. But we would always talk to customers and get their inputs as to what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. I'm saying in deep tech, it's also important for you to choose who to speak to so that what you're doing does not get leaked out to competition or somebody else who's trying to do similar stuff. Right? Okay, so now let's move to the other side, which is saying that, hey, I'm getting into manufacturing, I'm going to have a product line, I'm going to produce this, my demand is so and so. When you come to the supply side, there are multiple challenges that you face on the supply side. And a lot of companies are today facing into China, lots of things happening in China and the US, and a lot of this fracas that one is seeing, right? So what are the kind of supply chain choices you've had to make? What are the risks that you have faced? And how did you seek to mitigate those risks?
So yeah, I think just previously as we were discussing, so right now we are facing one kind of such issue. So you know about the Nexperia, which I would like to tell to the audience that Nexperia, which has kind of issues with Dutch government and Chinese government, they just shut down the entire supply chain. So Nexperia makes one of the best TVS diodes, so which are basically one of the key component when you're not key, I would say very good component when you're trying to use it in a USB driver or USB circuit. And this actually gives you a femto microfarad capacitance, which is best in class, while other competitors gives you in picoscale. So when you look at these kind of key people who are due to the geopolitical reasons. It's not because of supplier, it is not because of someone else doing something, but just because of geopolitical reasons. If such things happen, it is very what do you say? There is no chance for it. We have to go for the other choice that is out there, that is on semi, which we are going right now. As we speak, we are doing the changes with our current supply chain to make sure that very geopolitically isolated areas are chosen as a resilient mechanism to why there is deep tech, why we call deep tech is every single component that we look at it, there is a without that TVS diode my USB cannot work. So without that USB, the entire for updating of firmware or anything might not be possible in the relevant way. So this is where we are choosing very rightfully whoever are our suppliers, and from countries and from people who are very resilient to certain political and geographical changes. That's one thing. And second thing is reliability of the customer itself. I mean the vendor itself. We had issues with ST, which every 2 years they phase out their microcontrollers. Every few years they phase out their microcontrollers. So we had to figure out a way how do we actually have a long-term relationship with them. And we spoke with few people from ST. We are continuously speaking with direct manufacturers, saying that which are your long-term products. You refer to us. You tell us which are the products that are not going to phase out in the next 5 years or 10 years. At least I have a service cycle of 10 years or something like that. So that's how we are trying to become resilient in terms of supply chain issues. But yeah, with the turmoil currently, it's an impeding task to get to the point.
Even your pricing changes drastically because of this.
Absolutely.
Even though an availability is not an issue, pricing becomes a big issue.
Absolutely. We deal with MEMS, micro electromechanical systems, and if you look at the stock right now with MEMS, it is very minimal. And if I need to produce around 10,000 pieces or 20,000 pieces, there is no stock available of certain components that we need as well. So that's the kind of demand and things that are there. So we are, as we say, we are trying to deal with the manufacturer itself, saying that what value do we add into their product portfolio, and that's the way that we are taking in a very resilient way.
A follow-up question on what you're talking about. In my experience, when you try to deal with the manufacturers, they wouldn't talk to people unless they give a certain volume, right? I mean, they will want you to go talk to the distributors, and they will not even share product roadmaps for the next 2 years for you to plan your products based on what they will be producing, or you will not get sample quantities in the first run, or you to build samples. You'll get the really late samples. So your product also gets delayed because of that. So how did you get to talk to manufacturers when your volumes were low?
So, I mean, with the current advent of the artificial intelligence and these kind of new kind of things, what has happened is they are looking at multiple avenues to go towards. If you look at MEMS, if you look at just Bosch was just looking at watches and these kind of things in their MEMS structures, right? They used to put it in Apple Watch and they used to put it in other things. Now they want to look at other avenues which might be the futuristic things, and that's where people like us and people like Raghu and people like everyone come in. So there are quite few people are open, but I wouldn't say 100%. Few people whom we have spoken to have also said that no, I need numbers. But whoever has spoken numbers, we would say, okay, fine, we'll find your competitor, and we'll go to the competitor and say, look, we'll try to use your thing and let's really work together, kind of things. So that's how at least we are working till now, and probably for some time until we hit that volumes, which will make everyone happy. So yeah.
Raghu?
We had a very bad time. Uh, we in 2020 there was a global chip shortage. We had spent before we could even incorporate a company. Our team had spent more than 2.5 years building our own board, and this board was we had built our own motor control board. We had built our own power distribution module. We had built our communication system, and we had built also a board where you could just put an NVIDIA SoC and everything in our own package. And there was this one IC which was widely used by everybody, and the lead time went from 3 weeks to 70 weeks. That was more than a year. And like we got a first order and we don't have one component to fulfill, and it was not available anywhere, is because all the big companies to make web cameras and other things had like placed order and TMC was full. Like there was a really chip shortage. And there we learned that if you're going to design something for production, you need to have like at least 2 3 alternative backups. And you also have to think about geography right now. As Vamshi told, there was an issue with Denmark and China. So you need to really think about geography. You cannot have a supplier just solely based on that. And we had another problem. Uh, by the time we could redesign our board, we had another problem was we were buying motors from a company in Japan, and this EV boom also happened at the same time, and the company realized there is more business in EV segment than robotics. I want to like reduce my robotic production models and just focus on uh, hub motors and BLDC motors for EVs. And they also took our lead time to 52 weeks. At least in the board, I could find an alternative solution. But with my motor, my whole chassis is designed to only. I could not change it. That took us back to the drawing board of redesigning the whole mechanical system, wiring system, and then get it out. And that's when we realized either you have too much money to reserve all of these things for you, or uh, we figured out was modular system. We decided that we will not, until we go to a stage where we manufacture at least 500 robots a month, we would not focus on building everything ourselves. So we today our whole hardware stack is a modular, where every single component is plug and play. They're all off the shelf industrial components, which there are. I have like more than 5 6 choices to choose from, and now we were able to overcome. So this is a big thing in deep tech. You have to be very careful with components at the prototyping stage, testing stage. Everything will be available, but moment you hit scale, your suppliers will not be able to help you out until you have built a product where everything is widely available.
No, so there's another aspect to this also, is that if you build with alternatives that can be plug and play or plug in, drop in replacements and all that kind of stuff, in long term, your maintenance issues are also sorted out. As prices of different subsystems come down, so if you have to maintain only with one option and you have to maintain the supply for 10 years for you to be able to service that product, your hardware cost, supply servicing cost goes up drastically. But if you know there are drop-in replacements that I can get in the market immediately, all those will come down, and you can, over time, even your spares cost can come down, your servicing cost can come down, and that affects your hardware cycle quite a bit.
Yes, you're right. Today we don't have that problem because of this modular system.
Yeah.
Uh, I have problem where when I manufacture at scale, these companies will not negotiate on price, because they again come back with the whole thing of not selling on price, on value, saying that this product is proven for 30 years. I have every certification in every country you can imagine with patents protecting this product. And
It's always a cost versus flexibility. It's always a trade-off that one has to make. But I think if you make the trade-off to say, I'll pay a little more, but I'm guaranteed for the future, it's a whole lot better for your own sustainability and growth.
yes, so
Okay. So
but this is
good.
something a
So
deep tech company has to really
you have to, I mean,
figure out.
especially when you're in the hardware business, you have to be very, very careful about supply chain issues. What subcomponents or components you're using? Are there replacements or not? Is it mainstream component? Even that is very important. If this is a dwindling component in overall usage, then you will find you will not get this component 3 years down the line. You should be part of the mainstream, right? Okay, so that is one part. Now let's get to your teams, and you guys have built teams. I don't know what you started with and what you're ended up with right now. It'll be good to know how you built your teams. What sort of skill sets did you want? Was it available, or did you, if you had to build those skill sets, how did you build those skill sets?
Yeah, I think I mean, as any startup, we started as two people with my co-founder. So I think now we have a team of 15 people. But yeah, the skill set. The problem with when you deal, I'll explain a bit more about the level that we are dealing with. So we are dealing at a very granular level where we have to build algorithms over certain sensor systems that are quite crucial in terms of reducing the noise and things like that with respect to the sensing element itself. So analyzing the sensor, analyzing the parameters. If I start speaking on parameters like bias instability or rate random walk or angle random walk and all these things, Allen variance. So when I take an interview of someone, they would definitely not get it. So they would just say, okay, what is this bullshit that you're giving out to me? And this is like too many variables out there. So this is the kind of this is what we would eventually see because when you deal at the algorithmic level, when you deal at the crux, the filtering modules and the hardware as well, because you need to look at when you look at the we deal at magnetometers and things. So magnetometer itself is a PhD thesis. That means how do you deal with magnetometer on a PCB rightfully isolating itself from electromagnetic field externally, and then how do you actually calibrate a magnetometer through the global absolute yaw kind of things. So this is when you look at all these things, getting someone who is actually expert in these kind of fields is too costly for a startup like me. There would be people, there would definitely be great number of people who are there, but for someone who is like me, who even to look at them, it is too costly for me. So what we did is we split the problem into multiple segments. So we have algorithm different, we have firmware different, we have implementation different. Like algorithm and implementation are two different verticals. So if you look at that splitting of problem, we were able to find people rightfully, and we train people on algorithm as well as the implementation mechanism. So that's how we build the team. So we have hardware, implementation and R&D, and then firmware, algorithm and implementation, and then AI implementation and algorithm. So yeah, that's how the team is structured right now.
So again, as a team of say 2 and then going to 15, if you had to train them, that would have been quite an effort. And how did you can't do the work and train. So typically, how much of time did it take to ramp up these people to be productive, number one? And how was the ramp up done? Was it done internally? Did you get help from outside to do the training? Or, I mean, what was it that you did?
It was an internal training, so we did give everyone some time. So it was basically to give right problem statements at the right levels. So we initially the most complex problems used to be like how do you deal with the sensing element level, writing small drivers and everything everyone knows. So they started from there, and then it started as if you give this specific problem statement to them right now, they will be able to solve. So that's how we started our thing. So every person who comes to Yan India right now, they have a internship period of 6 to 8 months, and then they perform the entire training over that time. And then if we both feel compatible with each other, then we start going ahead with their hiring and things like that. So that's the process that we follow, and yeah, that has been working till now, and hope it works in future.
Raghu?
Our approach was really hard. To give you an insight, there are less than 500 qualified engineers in India who could build robots, and all the cream ones are not in India. And as a startup, we could never hire these people, the qualified engineers, nor anyone from outside India, because number of people doing robotics is very less, and it was a very big challenge. Uh, what we did was we got inspired from Zoho. We got people from tier 3 and tier 4 colleges who had the passion for skill sets, but they lacked
Exposure.
exposure and soft language, like soft skills. And we did the same thing. We Our internships in our office are all minimum 9 months, where we take them through a whole journey of becoming real engineers. And even in India, when you go to any college, people teach you how to use an existing robot and build application, but they don't teach you how to build a robot from ground up. So people have they would have seen robotic arms or mobile robots, but they would have never seen what is inside that, and nobody breaks and shows them how it's built.
Yeah.
So, and and also people who have built robots in at university or in research labs, they're on a very small size. But when you have to build a robot which can process a 500,000 square feet area, the whole engineering is different. So,
So one question I have here, Raghu.
yes.
Today there are a lot of universities offering MS in mechatronics or MTech in mechatronics or BTech in mechatronics. Have they been helpful?
Yeah, they've been helpful. So, so we get connected to universities today, and we tell them that if you have a very smart kid, and he's not able to express himself, and that's the person we want to work with, because we can help that person overcome that. Is because, uh, including me and my co-founders were introverts when we started our career. The moment we could talk to people, we became entrepreneurs. So,
Okay, so this segues into the next question, right? Whenever you are trying to build a venture, there's something called an ecosystem that has to support such a venture. It's very important. It is a very amorphous thing. You cannot define it very well. But there's a general term called ecosystem, which comprises a lot of things. It comprises people, it comprises people that you can hire, it comprises people that you can talk to, it comprises mentors. Yeah, overall, a lot of other things. People who are willing to spend time with you, though not they're not associated with the venture. Academic institutions where profs are willing to sort of, just for the heck of it, willing to juggle problems with you to try and get it. So when you look at the ecosystem for deep tech or specific to robotics and all that, how is India? Which are the cities that come out, stand out as cities that have ecosystems? Number one, good ecosystems. And secondly, in your own ventures, what is the multiplier that you have seen, multiplier effect that you have seen in making progress fast in your venture because of the ecosystem?
okay, I can give an answer to this. In India, where in robotics the whole ecosystem is connected, it's in predominantly in three cities. One is Delhi, because Delhi has homes for two largest robotic companies, three largest robotic companies globally, and Pune, and other one is Bangalore. Because Bangalore is geographically placed in a way that it connects whole of South India. It's and second thing is how we build this ecosystem. So one of the things we started working with universities. We have like a special version built for universities where we tell people you can take my hardware, software, I give you extra access to my systems, you can do research on it. So we started like that with IIT Madras. Uh, they used our platform, and the professors had algorithms patented for a very long time. They could never use because then they patented like 10, 15 years back, and there was no hardware available for them to test it out. Today, they used our hardware and they were able to solve problems beyond factories. Like we have an application with IIT Madras where they took a robot and a robotic arms, and they were able to achieve what a humanoid does with with our moving platform. And they built an assistive care robots. Their whole idea is that when elderly people go do shopping, or when you design homes for robots, how will these robots help these people? And they solved this problem in less than a year, and this patent was there for so long. Uh, then we understood that there is really a powerful thing when you integrate business with uh, universities. Then we were very fortunate to work with Bajaj Foundation, where Bajaj Foundation realized very similar that in their factories they send people for upskilling programs, and these people learn everything and they come back, and 6 months they quit their job and go to another company which pays them more. And this was a big problem they had with their managers, and they wanted to solve this problem at a root level. So what they did was they told, instead of me giving education grants or building schools, I will build automation labs where people can go really learn how to build process automation, integrate with different IoT protocols, build applications on top of robots, and we work with them. So every quarter, we work with two universities. We work with two universities, and we do something called Train the Trainer program, where we go train the teachers how to teach robots which are required for today's industry level. And this is one thing we've started since a year and a half. Today we have like more than 7 universities working with us, and I think every year more than 100 students graduate going through this program, and all of them now learn industrial mobile robots from our robots. They learn how it is made, what goes inside it. Uh, they're able to build their own applications. So this is how we figured it out to build an ecosystem, because we also realized that when my company grows big, I will have a scale problem. How will I bring more people? I cannot just bring more people. I cannot do the same thing where I get someone, train them for a year. I have to shorten the span. And that's the approach we took. And it took us 2.5 years to do this whole thing. Since a year, it is doing amazing.
Yeah. So I think my experience has been with only, I mean, see, we actually have only dealt with ArtPack and IISc. So when we actually started Ministry of Heavy Industries, started an initiative called CAMRAS, Center for Advanced Manufacturing and Research. So that with that initiative, we were among the 6 companies that were basically initiated to indigenize certain subsystems and things in India. So what it gave us was it gave us a lot of, if you look at the architecture of how ArtPack works, we have finance team that takes care of certain financial activities. So internally in Yanendria, we have very few financial people in terms of that. Legal, they have a separate team. So such kind of, if, as you rightly said in the question as well, the ecosystem gives us a lot of interesting value addition where the core focus of the company remains the core focus over a period of time. When it evolves into a bigger company, then you have that core other subsystems coming and playing their important role. So this is exactly how I think ArtPark has been designed, and we are grateful that we were part of it. And coming to the cities, we have customer base in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, Kochi, and Delhi, Noida. I mean, these kind of areas. So all these areas have brilliant kind of companies that are coming up. So if you look at the consumer base, we have 3 different segments, like have robotics people, startups and mid-level, and then the people like Toyota and these things. But if you look at the ecosystem of startups that are doing great problems, most of them are based in this Kochi, Hyderabad, someone in Ahmedabad, and these kind of areas. And the ecosystems also have, because of these I hubs, that is innovation hubs that have been established by the IITs and NITs as well as the Indian Institute of Science, along with DST, there is this cluster of startups that are focused on interesting problem statements. For example, IIT Hyderabad is focused on just navigation, so they have something called THAN. I think it's IIIT Hyderabad. So, and then you have IISc having Art Park kind of thing. So these clusters have been in most of the cities that are there right now, in every state right now. So where the great ecosystem is being built, similar ecosystem of, as Raghu was also mentioning, where it nurtures the people who are actually inside it, and it provides certain amount of amenities like space and legal team, which is very, very expensive actually now that we are dealing. And then there is certain amount of financial benefits that you have. I mean, grants that you have, and all these things. So it's really helpful. Like, of course, NSRCEL and things like that.
Yeah. So let me just come back. So you touched on a topic that I wanted to move into associated form, is that a large part of the ecosystem are incubators.
Yes.
Right. Apart from the industry, apart from other stuff, there's incubators, and you also need to have reasonably good. When you said legal, I touched specifically on patenting. Today in India, Delhi and Bangalore are the largest patent hubs, so to say, or number of patent attorneys, if you see, are the largest in these 2 cities, and you need specialization people. The patent attorneys, you need to understand the space to be able to file patents in that space. So from that point, if you see, Deeptech patent filing is most prominent in Delhi and in Bangalore. But Notwithstanding that, incubators are a very large part of the ecosystem today for startups. And especially for deep tech startups, you traverse through multiple stages as a startup. And different incubators are relevant at different stages and they bring value at different stages. So, as a deep tech, what are the options available right from the beginning, and how do you stage yourself through incubators which are relevant to the stage at which you are in the venture? And what has your experiences been in that front?
I mean, in terms of, at least with the technology, I think if you look at the technology itself, first is the problem statement. Like, which problem statement are you dealing with? Are you dealing with problem statement that is related to AI? Are you dealing problem statements that is related to LLMs? Are you dealing with something else? Are you dealing with hardware projects with respect to robotics? So based on that, there are certain incubators that have been specialized in these areas. So first is selection of that one. Which area are you dealing with? And because there are specific government grants coming to that specific, incubator because of their specialization. So you would be benefiting from that. Second thing is these incubators, as you rightly said, would be an initial bench that would give you a good amount of, what do you say, upstanding in terms of getting initial pull. But after that, when the market drives and then you need to go expand and things like that, there are certain other incubators which add value to you in terms of business. Like you have, NSRCEL, CL giving you some amount of, expertise in terms of marketing and things like that. So this is how this is our experience that has been. First deal with the incubator that is problem specific, and then over the period of time you have traction and things like that. You deal at the next level, who will help you with that specific segment. It's like 0 to 1 CR is a problem, 1 to 10 CR is another problem. So in the similar way, you deal with different people on that.
Raghu?
Yeah, so to give you an example, I think we have applied like I think for 3 years to NSRCEL and we never got selected. And and one of the reason is that we had no business plan. We were just trying to get incubated and figure it out. And then we understood that there are different incubators which focus at different stages. And as we were into hardware, we found an incubator which had a hardware prototyping facility over there. And there they would only accept people with ideas. They only want people with ideas and they would help you validate those ideas. And so that's how we got a first incubator called IKP Eden, which has like a whole prototyping center, and you work on the a level up. You design, you come down, you get it prototyped. No time wastage, and you're always there, rather than traveling all the way to Penia or somewhere. And the when we went to the growth phase of a journey, we needed a lot of market access. So then we went to a tier program, which specialized only working with companies like us to get market access, and that really changed a lot. Like we one of the biggest problems we had was when you're a deep tech company trying to solve a very critical problem for companies, they don't trust you, and nobody in that in corporate structure wants to take a bet on you, because if you fail, that person's job is fired. So even inside that, even if they like you, they will never vouch for you. Internally, they will say this company is full of risk.
It's like what is said earlier in the IT. Nobody ever got fired for buying an IBM. Right.
So, and this is where incubators make a huge difference. When they do a customer connect, the credibility is built is because the incubator says, I have validated this company, I have validated this founder, I know they can deliver to you, so you can take that risk. And like this, we got a multi-million dollar contract from one of the global companies just because the incubator was able to vouch to them. Otherwise, they would have never even let us inside their doors. So incubators today as a deep tech is very important, and you have to know at what stage which incubator to choose. And
And incubators also bring you funding from different sources, at least as grants. Say, for example, the one that we're on today is funded by Kotak, and so there are grants that are given to companies' ventures, right? So it also allows you to build an organization without diluting equity or taking debt.
You're absolutely like no investor wanted to give us money to build our boats. This is 5 years back. Now investors have changed. Then our incubator told, I can get you Niti Prayer's grant and I will help you how to make this application solid enough. And we worked with them and we got that grant.
Very nice. Now that we've spoken about investors, and that is the last part of our panel discussion, is before I get into that, I wanted a small loop to say everybody is now wanting to include AI. It's a buzzword, right? There are applications, but can you spend a brief thing on how do you see AI changing what you're doing in the business, in your business, and how will it change your product line?
In our thing, if you go to any of our website or anywhere, we have not used a single word called AI because for us AI was so overrated that everybody we meet would just put AI to their thing. So we would even today we never say our products have AI, but the whole foundation is built on AI model. We just tell people it solves problem, and when we meet investors, we would never speak the word AI, and they would always say that you're doing all this. Where is the AI? Like where is the AI part? And then is when we tell them that for us this is not really AI. Like AI is the robot should have so much intelligence that it just figures out things. But today our robots work in specific conditions that the user is drawn to it, and this creates credibilities because they also will learn this.
Yeah.
Uh, and also other thing regarding funding is to get our first check we had to pitch to more than 150 between 150 to 160
We
investors.
will come to funding. We will come to funding. So I just want to check this AI thing again with Vamsi.
Yes, sir. So, I mean, for us, I wouldn't consider AI. So, we have ML and DL inside it. So, we do use DL and ML a lot in terms of, making. So, the vision was to make something as smart electronics. That means electronics that actually analyze itself and provide some amount of better information than what it actually does. So we don't, we neither say that it is AI or something because we straight away say that, look, this is the kind of approach that we are taking. And this is a ML model that is being built around it. So for us, that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So even I also think AI is too overhyped. And everybody says AI. When I ask them what is AI inside this, they're hardly able to explain what AI is. They are more deterministic decision trees than AI.
Yes.
Anyway, be that as it. Let's get down to funding. Now, when
I
you
would
get
like to also give an insight to the audience. When you go tell enterprise customers your AI, they will buy it. But the moment they want to deploy, their whole cybersecurity team will come and scrutinize you so badly, saying, "How are you working with my data? How it is processed? Show me everything." And have you got validated from a third party who's saying that you don't steal any data and you're stuck for a months? It's never a week's problem. You're stuck for a month. So you have to use AI very specific places. It can
Yeah,
also bite you back.
it should never be used as if like, it's AI powered or something like that. You go to the crux of it. That's it.
okay, so let's get down to funding part. And there are grants that you get from incubators that will help you fund your original initial phases. Then you have to start looking at funding, seed funding, or whatever wait. And there are these categories of investors called people who want to invest in the deep tech industry, right? Uh, and what I have seen in my experience is most deep tech guys, the first thing they see is how many patents do you have? Because for them, the moat is a patent. When this, so if you say you're deep tech, you must have something that differentiates you from others enough for you to be able to file patents, right? They don't even recognize that you might want to keep something as a trade secret and not file a patent, right? And when the funders come with that kind of a mindset to say more the number of patents, better your chances of getting funding from me, or higher the valuation you will get from me, because I'm investing in you in the stage where you are probably just about entering the revenue stage. So there is no large scale validation. So this is how they approach funding. What have you seen, and how have you navigated that?
I
Uh,
mean,
Vamsh,
Sorry.
you can go ahead.
Okay, the younger one first. Okay, fine. So, I mean, we are navigating the platform of investing till now. So, what we have figured out is, as you rightly said, people see patents onto it, but we try to go to VCs who understand a bit of technology, because it is evident that if we go to a person who just sees that revenue multiple as your valuation, then it isn't something that even we are looking at, because the returns would not be in the similar time frame or things like that they are looking. So we look at people who are able to understand some of the technologies that we are dealing with. That's how we are dealing, and we look at some of the strategic players who would take the products and use them, and also become a partner in terms of getting the things done. So these are the two things that we are looking at. We have been able to find quite few people who are in these two segments and who are interested in at least us. But the first pitch that I had given, I still remember. They asked me the revenue, so I said X is the revenue. So they said, okay, this multiple this, so this is what you are asking for. I said, I don't think that is how we look at it, and how many patents they asked. So we said these are few patents that we have, but what is the market for patent was a new word that I understood. So yeah, that's how it started. Right now, we look at very few specific players who are looking at investments, patient capital, with firm belief in what we are doing as technology.
Raghu?
Yes, ours was a bit a different approach. Uh, our problem was that if I file a patent, I tell my people, I tell the whole world the trade secret, how it is done. So, and when we had VCs, they would always say, how can you say everything you have is trade secret and there's not a single patent? And we had this problem for a very long time because there are more than 30 robotic companies in India, and everybody's pitching to the VC, and every product from outside looks 90% identical, and they have the same application. So uh, from a VC side, they don't find any difference, and everybody's telling I'm trying to talk to the same customer. And so what I did, one interesting thing was I went and spoke to people. Let's take you have a patent. The VC has no ability to validate your patent, but they have somebody who validates your patent, and that would be their lawyers. I went and spoke to their lawyers. Like, if I do a patent, what is that you will look into that patent? Like, how do you bring value to it? And in that whole conversation, I got one good insightful. They told me, if a global company steals your patent, they told you need minimum $5 million to fight a case. You don't know whether you'll win or not. And he told, this is the biggest threat you have than just filing in India. Like, as my company, if I file patent, I have to file patent in few markets. I cannot protect myself in a single location. And this is how we were able to go tell people that it would cost me 50 lakhs per patent, is because I need to file in these markets, and it has to be done from someone who has experience of protecting from legal battle. Like, there's a difference between getting patent done, but getting patent done from lawyers who can ensure that it is protected, and they are very expensive.
Yeah.
And that's how we till today we have written patent applications. We have not gone to the advanced stage. uh, we were able to talk to investors, and we used to always tell them that you could get a industry expert person, and on an NDA basis I'll be happy to disclose to him.
Yeah. So one part is that though a lot of these VCs ask for patents, you're never going to use the patent to sue somebody else. You don't have the money to sue somebody else. And even if somebody violates your patent, you will not be able to take them to court if a big guy violates, right?
Yeah.
It is just to frighten them. You can say that you have violated my patent, but beyond that, you really cannot do anything with a patent, except that proving to somebody, some investor, that I've got something that is unique enough to get a patent, right? Anyway, so the last part segment of our panel is that we talked about ecosystem, we talked about everything, but we didn't talk about the government. And government plays a large role in deep tech in terms of policies. What are the kinds of policies that exist in India? What do you think aids deep tech in India? And are there any pitfalls in policy that one should protect against?
I lost your question. I had a network issue. Can you please repeat
No,
it?
I was saying, how does policy look like in India for deep tech startups? What are the good things that are there in the policy to promote deep tech and support deep tech? And what are the pitfalls in that you need to be careful and avoid?
Uh, so far, my experience is that the money never comes on time. Any policy or any grant you take, so you have to always plan that way ahead of it. And there are a lot of policies which has come in the last 1 year, and even in government agencies, people are not very well aware of it. So when you want to work on something, you need to have a lot of patience. It will happen, but you need to have a lot of patience.
But do you find any government programs that have been established to support deep tech?
Yes,
I think
there are schemes right now supporting deep tech.
I think there is one DST fund specifically for deep tech. I think
yes.
about a couple of weeks ago, they announced 1 lakh crore rupees funding for deep tech
Yes,
in DST.
yes, that's called fund of funds, where the government is evaluating VC firms who have very successful track record.
Investing into deep tech VCs.
Yes, they'll invest alongside with the VC, so that VC has to only bring half the money.
Yeah. Correct. So that has been DST's strategy right from the beginning of, by and large, being in fund of funds or funding incubators. These are the two modes that they take, or through which they will deploy money. Vamsi?
I mean, the government has been pushing towards deep tech. So as far as, we are funded by Ministry of Heavy Industries during our initial grant. So that was one of its kind for Ministry of Heavy Industries to fund, ecosystem through a grant kind of a thing. And DST, GOK, I mean, Government of Karnataka also are funding these ecosystems through ecosystems, the deep tech companies through ecosystem. They are providing the facility, they are providing certain amount of grants. And I also accept the fact with Raghu that the money time to time is not the validation. Hey, this time I will be getting the fund is not something that is very straightened. But apart from that, there are multiple funds from DST, GOK, and DST specifically is doing a lot of work in terms of iHubs and things. And of course, as you said, with the VCs collaboration. And MHI is also looking at certain industrial investments and things like that. So yeah, it's actually good time in terms of at least some fund availability to kickstart. Of course, it's again validated by market and have to go through that cycle.
Okay. So there is one question from the audience. I'm moving now to the Q&A section.
Sure.
There's a question which says, when will training simulations become the standard mode of employee training in Industry 4.0? And what are the key modes and speeds of adoption of these technologies in Industry 4.0?
I think a lot of VR and AR technologies are coming in. When you look at meta glasses currently, which is out there, which is, I believe that is similar to the question that has been asked. Very recently we took a meeting with Qualcomm, who makes the chips for that specific meta glasses, where there are a lot of interest in terms of getting people trained and acquiring that skills. That is more important, right? How do you acquire a skill of a person and then use that skill to train someone else? That's basically why it is necessary. So that there's a lot of research going on. The commercial product might not be very soon, but with something like Meta Raven, which is actually having a glass with some amount of AR technologies onto it, it is able to do that in a better fashion. So maybe in next 2-3 years is what we look at. Even Lenskart is investing on similar technology in India, where that's there. And in Industry 4.0, we call it 5.0 to be specific in this context, where everything is more digital twin of industry. So in that scenario, that's where it is going. We see it happening through the ecosystem itself. We have an Industry 5.0 division here.
Okay. Raghu, you have anything to add to that?
So we are exploring these solutions for our product, where how we can use leverage of augmented reality, not in form of a headset, but using the technology. One of the things today we use a product called Zoho Lens, where where every time a customer buys a robot, we give a tripod stand, so they have to just mount their phone, and when they call us, our engineer from our office can do augmented markings. So if they show two wires, my engineer can mark, and even if they move the wires, the marker moves along. So while debugging or doing DIY service, we're able to give them extra layer of solution. So this is something which we are exploring.
Okay. So there's one question, which is something that we dealt with, but somebody's asking this question again. If a startup is solving a real but niche problem with a limited market size, how can founders justify pursuing it? And how should they position the opportunity to address investor concerns about market size?
Uh, I believe any deep tech start with that niche market only, at least to start with. Because when you look at any path-breaking technologies, see, deep tech has also, there is also another deepness to it. Like, for example, when someone started a MEMS technology or someone started a microchip technology, it was very specific to one specific department that needed it. And over a period of time, that grew to a better extent. So, given if a founder believes that this product is a path-breaking product, he should definitely move, keep working towards it. I mean, that's the gut feeling of the founder, right? It's that kind of gut feeling. Okay, you see that, okay, this is a path breaking thing. Absolutely go. If it is not path breaking, if you are integrating, if there is certain amount of replacement modules for that, then I think it's better to move away from that specific problem statement.
Raghu?
I think it's a very good opportunity when you're in this condition where you're a small niche and you're trying to solve a problem, is because you have the first mover advantage. You can tell to a VC saying that if I do this, and if somebody wants to do even this after 3 years, they need a gestation period. I'll be way ahead of time. And also, if a large company wants to do it, it would be a very good company to sell. So, because investors always like something that can be sold very quickly. So, the positioning really matters when you're doing very niche things. You have to show them multiple exits. It's not only the market size, but also what else can you do it.
So my take on this is very simple. If it's a small market size, don't do it. Only because you're going to be spending your time and energy to realize that something is small and is not selling. You will not know how to exit. And it's too much time, that money that you're putting to even exit just like that. You'll find it very difficult to take that decision. So the best part is when you're conceive, even if it is niche, you must know where you can grow into and what are the potential allied markets you can go into. We're not going to the markets today, but size the allied markets and say, let it first succeed in this market. If it succeeds in this market, there's the 4 other allied markets I have, which will give me this size. If you cannot see the larger size with allied markets, don't even get into. That would be my suggestion.
No, I think that makes sense. But one thing is investor also. One thing is right now grants are there. So instead of going for an investor, if you are path breaking, so go with grants and things like that. If you're experimenting.
So when you say path breaking, if it is path breaking, you still must be able to envision which are the markets it will go into.
Absolutely true.
That's all I'm saying, right? Even grants will take you only up to a certain limit. You will never be able to grow without VC funding or seed funding. You cannot grow on grants.
Yeah, you cannot.
Right? Okay. So for an early stage hardware startup, how can founders confidently choose the right product idea, approach manufacturers and protect their business, especially when patents are costly and easy to bypass?
Oh yeah, this is very relevant to at least what we do. Initially, it's very difficult to lock on to one specific architecture of a hardware product because there are infinite possibilities for a specific problem. When you look from an engineer perspective, it's like you are looking at the simplest possible way to solve that problem. So that is where we did a lot of iterations. We did 2 3 iterations. That is where that I said in the 3 iterations mindset. So iteration one is very vague. Iteration two is more specific to customer centric. Iteration three is a product. So this is how we move away from that engineering mindset of infinite number of possibilities. And second thing is hardware. There is a design IP to it, but you can never protect a hardware. So when if it is an hardware product, there should be an algorithm or there should be USP to it, such that others might not be able to compete against it. Be price, for example, certain people give it at a specific price that you can't even compete. At least when you're manufacturing in India. So what we did is we pivoted towards the algorithm. So our entire architecture and things is our algorithm where things are being built. So that's how we dealt in terms of protecting ourselves against all the, anyone can take a look at PCB and can say that, okay, this IC has been used. Okay, there is a reference design for that IC. They look at what is available and then make things out of it. But yeah, that's something that we did.
Okay. Raghu, anything that you want to add?
No, I have.
Okay. As a low capital but technically strong drone hardware startup, what should our first 18-month roadmap look like, including securing incubation, managing DGCA certification, positioning ourselves for the fastest growing drone application over the next years? For founders, what does your typical sales cycle look like? And how often do customers request pilots or proof of concept before committing purchases? How do you usually navigate these pilots to purchase scenarios?
Okay.
There are 3 questions in this.
Yeah, for the drone AI startup, which is focused on agriculture, uh, I think it's big. I mean, the order right now, we deal with a lot of companies who are in agri-tech right now. So there are around, it's a good market right now with also the drone DD, one of the things that has come out from government of India. There is a lot of traction in terms of creating that, what do you say, drone ecosystem in agriculture. The roadmap should not, DGCA certification is the last thing that you have to get, but in agriculture, it is the first thing that you have to get. But the first thing is POC and to the correct cycle of drone. What is the USP of that drone itself? Because there are platforms available and there are architectures that are there where if you look at hyperspectral cameras or multispectral cameras or these things to analyze the data that is out there, not just spraying, right? So people just look at drones and say that, okay, I'm going to do pesticide spraying. But if it is a multi-utility vehicle where you have multiple payloads going in and then the same vehicle doing multiple jobs, it makes more sense. So if the person is looking at that, that's a fantastic market to be. And the roadmap should go towards that technology. The core USP of that technology should be built in terms of how do I add multiple payload to help the farmer out there, not just to spray and do the service business because there are too many people out there. And yeah, this I think I forgot the second question, sir.
No, so there's one question on sales cycle. What is the length of the sales cycle? Do we have to do pilots to get orders? And if that is the case, how do we navigate pilots to purchase order commitments?
The sales cycle, it depends on customer. If it is a large customer, the sales cycle lies in months, like at least 9 months or 6 months. If it is a customer who is basically in the mid level right now, it is 1 month conversion, and it's a startup. You just pilot it and then do it. For everyone, at least we do pilots. We give them a POC right now at the stage that we are supposed to do POCs because people have to trust us from the credibility perspective. So yeah, that's from my side.
Raghu?
Yeah, I'm a very enthusiast of drones. So what, based on my research, I can give you, but
No, no,
it's
but it need not be drones, Raghu. I'm saying generally from a hardware deep tech startup, what are the sales cycles and what happens and how do you make sure that the effort that you put in pilots convert themselves to purchases? That's a question.
okay. So I'm in B2B space. Our typical sales cycles when we started out first was somewhere between 12 to 18 months. It was really long. Then it was also for us for doing for the first time working with enterprise clients where uh, they wanted pilots. We did pilot, but later we understood that by giving this pilot, I could not draw any conclusion. So those pilots were only proving the product works, but these pilots did not conclude how has it created benefit for them, what value proposition they've got it. And also when you do pilots, you will plan for a week, but the pilot goes for like 2 months to get deployed and go ahead. And somebody who's every day watching your pilot will think, oh, this company is in a very small stage to get their product up. So the confidence level of customer goes down. So we had to do refinement. So now our sales cycle is less than 9 months, and we do also do pilots, but now our pilots have been matured. Like initially, we would give unlimited pilots because we wanted to win the customer confidence. Now I have data, I have customers, similar customers. So I tell them that if you want pilot, you pay me, or you come to my facility and I can demonstrate the same thing because I already have customers and it's proven in the market. So I have more leverage, but initially I had to do this, and customers would always. One of the things we made mistake was we would not define what this pilot is. They would just say bring your product and show it, and we would just take the product. We would never have anything in writing what exactly we are going to demonstrate, what would be done, and also ask who are the stakeholders who will evaluate this. We'll always think the point of contact person is the stakeholder, but it might be not them. They might be just a technical buyer who's trying to get this inside their company. So all these factors comes in when you do initial sales, and later you will figure it out how to expedite the process.
So when you
In consume,
Yeah. So when this question that pilots is there and what Raghu is saying is very valid. When you do pilots, you will have to define what the pilot is endeavoring to do. And you'll say, how do you measure whether it's met that endeavor or not? And what is the level of the endeavor that is met for it to get converted to a purchase order? Even that you will define, saying, if I'm able to prove A, B, C, D, E, I want an order. So you could precede it with an LOI, a conditional LOI, letter of intent that says you do a pilot and you prove A, B, C, D, E, this LOI will get confirmed into an order. So you're also negotiating prices. They know the price. They will not say after you do the whole thing that your price is too high, I can't buy it. You bring it upfront and say what is the price of the product and all that, and then they say that I have to prove A, B, C, D, E. If I do all these things, the LOI will get converted to a purchase order. And when you do that, is how you will navigate pilots to purchase orders. So we have run out of time. So I think we will close it with this, and I will hand it over to Sri Chandra to close the webinar.
Thank you, Mohan. Thank you all the participants for joining us today. A special thanks to Vamshi and Raghu for making this webinar happen. Uh, Thank you, Mohan, for moderating this. We do this as part of the Kotak BizLabs initiative at Velocity at NSRCEL.